Good afternoon. This is Dr. Bill White again, and I'm going to be talking to you about self-torquing. This is, by the way, I'm a member of the American Orthodontics Society, and hope you'll join us if you're here in the States. And back again to this self-torquing. This is an important, very little understood force in orthodontics. And I just happened to get a case that showed it up real good. And I want to show you how I found out about it. And a lot of times I just never noticed it. It happens, and I'm sure that same thing happens to many people. But there's a young lady here that's class 3, and she's missing upper and lower lateral teeth, and also she's missing some of her molars back here. They're either wisdom teeth or 12-year molars. We can see on the Panorex in a little bit. And so I'm going to go ahead and show you this young lady. Very nice young lady. I enjoyed working on her. And she's just a mild class 3. Well, it's not so mild. When you look at these models now, you take the models and the lateral teeth are missing up here, and here on the bottom we've got the 2 centrals. There's also a lateral missing on both of the lower areas down here, and then molars back here in the back. And we're going to use 2 or 3 things to correct this case. And one of them was a reverse Hickam type headgear. We're going to try to bring this forward. But first I want you to notice we've got a crossbite back in the back here, and a crossbite on this side over here. And the maxilla is not developed fully. So she's breathing through the mouth. At some point in the other here, she's breathing over the tongue, and the tongue is widened out and has spread the lower jaw out. You can see, if you just get used to you looking at these models, and you can tell a whole lot about what caused this to happen. Now, she may have a little genetic class 3 problem in here also, but very little, because we pull it out of this and it looks pretty good, except the lip still isn't full enough in this area right here. But see the crossbite, and when you see this crossbite, think about mouth breathing, or for some reason they're holding the tongue in the lower jaw, and this gets widened out in here, but this does not. And so you have a crossbite, either a unilateral crossbite. Most of them are bilateral, and the child will shift their jaw so they can chew better and go to one side, and it'll look like a unilateral. And if they grow up that way, the jaw will be over here. The condyles will grow and to match up with that, and the person will have a kind of an angle to their face. And you get to looking at people's faces like that, and you can see a lot of people that have had that problem, a mouth breathing problem, and it may be caused by airway obstructions up here, or allergies, or adenoids and tonsils, and deviated septums, the oversized turbinates sometimes. There's a whole lot of things that cause you to have a insufficient airway, and you'll breathe through the mouth. And then in that case, you put the tongue in the bottom arch, and it'll spread these teeth out, and you wonder why you get so many crossbites in young people. And most of it is mouth breathing functional problems that are causing this. So you can just check that out if you want to. All right, Here on this side, we've got a crossbite also, and so we end up in class 3. And she's back here now. She's got a little tendency toward class 3 because you can have the tongue, the mouth breathing problem and have the teeth out here in front. It doesn't happen, but here we're missing the laterals, and that kept these teeth back, and that helped with the class 3 problem too. Even though we're missing the lowers, they didn't get pulled back as much. All right, here we look at the upper model, and you see this more or less straight in this area. When you've got the tongue in there, you'll get a rounding out of this. So you pick that up to some extent just looking at the person's models. Now on the bottom, the lower arch is rounded out and it's wider, and so the upper cusp hit inside here. And that just tells you what's taking place on a case like this. So we've got to go in and widen the upper arch out. Now, a lot of people use all sorts of gadgets to stick up in the upper arch to spread it out. But in most cases that I have like that, we would put a palatal separator in and expand it and really widen the upper arch out. And I cement bands on the teeth that I use, and that carries the roots out too of the teeth. We don't just tilt the teeth out like this. That doesn't cut it. You got to carry the teeth out bodily and bring their roots out with them to really develop the airway like it would develop in a normal development way. Okay, here again is the cephalometric, and this is down in 83. You can't see much on my cephalometric taken. Anyway, there's fair airway. This is the adenoid problem. The tonsils were probably pretty big too on this. We didn't go in and do anything with the adenoids or tonsils in this particular case. Okay, now when we got ready to work on this, or I pushed these teeth and put them out where they went over, notice the angle that the teeth are setting at. Something like that, right in here. They're over the lower anterior teeth. We took these teeth that were here and moved them out. Now we weren't able to get the roots out with them, but we will get them out. But we did not do it. Actually, she self-torqued these teeth. Once we got her functioning correctly and got everything spread out, got her breathing correctly, and she started swallowing correctly. When you swallow, you put your tongue up in there, but when you don't, you use an infantile swallow pattern, your tongue doesn't go up in the roof and push out like it normally would. So just remember where we had these teeth at this point right here. All right, now here is after we got through with it, I noticed these teeth were torqued properly, and I had put nothing but a round arch wire on them. So I had nothing that would have brought them from this angle to this angle right here. They went there on their own. And this is, you just have to believe it, but they were sitting right there. And then when we got ready to check this thing out, I forget the date on this, but here we are, and she's 12 years and 6 months at this point. And her front teeth are torqued right out like that. And before they were laying in there something like this. Now, what happened as far as I can tell, now that we're these are deciduous laterals, and this is cuspid coming down in here, the laterals missing over on this side right here. This, of course, is deciduous. All of these are deciduous teeth right in here. And we've got one, well, actually, we got the whole living thing. This is deciduous teeth all across here, see? Same thing down on the bottom. Here where we're missing lateral on the bottom also. So she had a bunch of cavities, and we had to send her back to get whoever referred her in there to fill these teeth before we got started on that. Now they've got a bunch of pretty big fillings in there on the teeth at this point, and she's, well, this is age 10, 11, and this is 84, and we only see at this 11, 10, we can see there's a tooth forming right in here, as best we can tell, and a tooth there, and here, and here. But this should be a 12-year molar, and that's a 12-year molar where there's no wisdom teeth, or this one may be a wisdom tooth because after she's 12, this one still hadn't come in the mouth. Okay, now we go to this panorex right here, and the bottom 12-year molar has come in good, and I think she's about 12 years of age at this point, and this one has not, so it may be a wisdom tooth that's just, or a late erupting 12-year molar. And you see we're missing the lateral in both areas, and we are missing the cuspids have moved up to the centrals. This is a panorex that's been cut, and it shows like something there, but it's not. There's one of the old type panorexes. Okay, here she is. This is in her actual mouth, and we'll go through this pretty fast. Now we put a palatal separator in for her, and we cranked this thing open, and we restored the width of the upper arch this way. And that, we submitted these bands on here, and that brings the roots of the teeth out with the crowns and widens the airway really good. It gets her functioning correctly. And we have her wearing this Hickam chin cup, which you get the elastic going straight in when the lips are together, and this wire just runs around here with, might touch the skin, but it doesn't want to press on it, and they can flip their hair over this way and lay this down and close it back over here, and this will pull down on this part of the head up here, but puts more pressure on the chin. And if you've got somebody with a bad joint up here, then you've got a problem. You can't use this. You'd have to come in, and you might be able to use it when they're awake, but when they go to sleep, you just put all this pressure would be back here on the condyle, so you have to be careful about that. But most of the time, it doesn't bother them to wear this. And then we'll be pulling the posterior teeth to the front and correct the class 3 that way, but it did not torque those teeth. And you look at it from the front, and the elastic, you see, is going through the lips at the normal position of the lips. If the elastic pushes down on them or up on them, it more or less leaks, and the saliva dries out there, and they get chapped and everything. So you got to really right at that point where the lips come together. Just don't want your lip down this way or up this way. You want it where the elastic goes right through where your lips close normally. Okay, Now we were pulling forward on that, and there she's mustered up a smile for us. So, that's good. She's a pretty young lady, see. Now we're going to eliminate this, and we'll move these teeth together, and we put some artificial teeth onto the braces, and we put those in the retainer also until she's able to do the either implants or some type of bridge work or something to fill that in. We wear something there to keep the gap open. And she had some pretty big cavities in those 6-year molars you saw back there. Okay, we've still got a little bit of a crossbite right there. That won't be any problem for us, but we spread this out and got it out of the crossbite. The maxilla's not in the crossbite at this point. We got the teeth over, and we just expanded and pushed the teeth out over that with an arch wire. And I'll show you the teeth have been brought over. The lower teeth were in here somewhere. These were back here, and we brought them out here, but we have not put any rectangular wire in there to bring these roots forward. Now this has been separated by a palatal separator, and the tissue in this area is pretty soft. It's rebuilding and everything. And I was just really shocked when she came in. From this point, the teeth were laying there like that. And then here, let me see the 1 or 2 pictures. Now she came in, the teeth were out in this position, and there's been no rectangular wire at that point. And you see the round wire still in there, and these teeth came from here to there, pretty much on their own. And so all that I could come up with is that this tissue is rebuilding after being separated, and it's kind of soft in here anyway. And these teeth were laying back in here, and she started swallowing correctly because we increased the airway and we got her functioning right. In other words, she's swallowing and biting properly, and the tongue was going up in the roof of the mouth here and pushing against this. And that's all that I could figure out that was causing this to happen. And these teeth are torqued out where they should be. They fit in between the lip pressure and the tongue pressure right in here. And it was there, and then it went to this. Now, this tells us a lot about doing orthodontics. In other words, if you could get to these children when they're real young and correct the function, get them breathing through the nose. If you breathe through the mouth, you're going to put your tongue in the bottom, and you're going to breathe over it, and it's going to spread out the lower arch, and you have crossbites. Either they'll make it look like a unilateral, and then that'll kick their chin over one side or the other. And if they go like that till they're mature, the whole condyle complex back here is going to be different, you see. And so this is the urgency of recognizing this problem when it's real young. And then the pediatric dentist, or if you're a dentist working on young people like this, you've got to recognize the problem and go after it when they're young. Either get some orthodontist to do it, but you have to send them back and forth for that. It's so much better if the pediatric dentist knows something about orthodontics, and when it's missing up there and these teeth are laying down and looking like that, you know there's something wrong in there. And this is the way they should be. So I'm just harping on the fact that we need pediatric dentists that know how to do some orthodontics. Now, I had pushed them out here with a round wire. They laying out like that. And I didn't go through everything. I could have put a lip bumper out here and a rectangular wire, but I had deciduous teeth and all this in here. And you've got to get these out. Now, with that round wire still in there, the teeth went out to there. Now, you just have to believe it. I see no reason or nothing that could bring that about other than proper function. And I had spread the palate, got her breathing correctly, and got her swallowing correctly, and the tongue was putting its correct pressure in there. And that's why anybody's teeth are torqued properly, is that they're swallowing properly, they're functioning properly, and their teeth go in between this equal pressure areas like that. So this is an important thing to learn if you're going to work on children or young people like this. Now, we came in, we put artificial teeth on this area, and down on the bottom, I hadn't put them in yet, but we put them on her retainers. And so we had a bottom, a top, and a lower retainer, upper and lower retainers in there. Still, we did everything, but she looks good. I mean, she's a pretty young lady, but it's a little bit deficient in that area. So there's probably a little genetic class 3 problem here, but not much. A lot of it was brought about by function. And that's what I would like to bring home to you. Correct the function early on and recognize this. Now, we move the cuspids up here, and we're going to put the false tooth in between there. And so it's either a bridge or an implant that you do. This was 1988 when they went through. And here she is. It looks pretty normal there. And I knew people that knew her, and they did not know there was anything wrong in there. And so anyway, we bring this on in. I'll show you the end of it. It's not too much, but we move the cuspids up here, and so you would do your restoration in the cuspid area, and you'd have a stronger tooth on either side if you do the bridge work. So here it is 87, and I'm going to run right on through the rest of it. And here she is, and a little later on, and the lip looks pretty good, but you can see there's a little deficiency in the lip structure right here. It's not out really where you would want it. Maybe she could go and have some of that build up that they do on lips. And here's the retainer in there with the artificial teeth on it, and we have the artificial teeth on the lower retainer. And you bet your boots, I mean, she will wear these retainers. If she loses, she breaks one of these teeth off, you'll come sit in your office until you get it fixed for them, you know. And that's it. And from both sides, got her in a good class 1 relation. So I wanted to stress this point about self-torquing. There's very few people, I think, doing dentistry that have or doing orthodontics that have recognized this self-torquing that can take place if you get function corrected early. And so I'm going to close out. This is an earlier picture of her. And I'll go out here and thank you for watching. Hope you join our deal, and also subscribe to our channel. We appreciate that. And so I'm going to close up here and see if I can get over and stop this thing.